Hello everyone, this is Harry. In this issue, we have an American comedy film, Horrible Bosses. Nick, Dale, and Kurt were friends who grew up together. They often gathered in bars to discuss the bad things in life. Nick had worked hard in the company for 8 years, so he didn't even see his grandmother for the last time. The boss often hinted at Nick's promotion. When the position of vice president of business was vacant, Nick had a great opportunity. According to ability and seniority, Nick was the best choice. But the boss turned back and took over the two positions of chief and deputy chief. He didn't forget to taunt Nick. If Nick wanted to change his job, he had to write a letter of recommendation. The boss didn't want to let Nick go because he was a skilled employee. He threatened that Nick would not survive in the industry after leaving. It was like Nick was one of his dogs. He can destroy Nick at any time. This made Nick angry, but there was no way. Dale was a dental assistant. His biggest trouble was that he was always harassed by the female boss. And Dale loved his fiancée. He didn't want to accept the condition of his boss. But because Dale was in the park in the middle of the night, charged with indecency by the parents of a little girl who passed by the road, no one but the boss was willing to accept an assistant with criminal record. When Dale first joined the company, his boss changed her teeth. During the period when Dale was anesthetized, the boss took photo of them to threaten Dale if he didn't comply with her request. She would tell Dale's fiancé that he had sex with her. Dale was very angry and helpless. Kurt was the general manager of a company. He was highly valued by his boss and regarded as the next successor. But the boss died suddenly. The boss's jobless son took over the company. As soon as the new boss took office, he laid off a large number of employees. Even indiscriminately deprive old employees of work-related injury expenses. But also to overturn the father's rule, spent the least money to solve the waste. The local environment would be seriously damaged. But the new boss didn't care so much. He just wanted to drain the company's money for his own extravagance. The new boss was very upset to see an old professor go to work in a wheelchair. He ordered Kurt to dismiss him immediately, or Kurt was going to leave. But when Kurt was forced to leave the professor, the new boss suddenly jumped out and accused Kurt of going too far. This made the employees feel disrespectful. They thought Kurt was a bit of bully. Kurt was speechless, couldn't say anything. The same experience made 3 people feel bitter to each other. They scolded their bosses. When they were saying, there was a man coming. This man was their old classmate. When in school, he was known as the most potential student in class. But today it was pitiful. He was also made difficult by his boss and lost his job. It should be a long day for them. Now even a drink he also couldn't afford. Old classmates' experience let 3 people completely give up the idea of starting all over again. Somehow, the idea of killing the boss was brought up. There was a flash of lightning going through the heads of the 3. That's it. They immediately drove to the bars in the chaotic area. Tried to find a killer to kill their bosses. Turned out to be a smash by the bar owner. There was a black man next to him who heard questions. Took the initiative to find the door, suggesting that he was a killer. And it costed $5,000 to kill 3 people. They agreed to pay the money. But when waiting for 3 people to pay money, the black man said he was on parole and could not do it. But he could be an advisor to 3 of them. Now a few people realized that they had been trapped. The black man's attitude seemed to be very clear. Either followed his advice or didn't try to get the money back. Looked at the black man ready to take out his gun. The 3 people were scared. Under the guidance of the black man, they decided to kill each other's boss. In order to get rid of their own suspicion, they started with Kurt's new boss. The plan was to find out the weakness of him and create an accident. At night, the boss finally went out. They hid by the garage, sneaking in before the door closed. After some exploration, they found out that the boss had the habit of taking drugs. Kurt also found the boss's cell phone. There were contacts and itineraries. Then they came to Nick's boss' house. Nick knew his boss had a habit of running at night. During that period, they could sneak into the boss's house to collect some information. But Nick didn't know when the boss was going home, so they had to leave Dale outside. When Dale was eating and playing, Nick's boss came back. He saw Dale littering in front of his house. He was angry, picked up the snack bag and yelled at Dale to get out of there. But Nick's boss was allergic to the peanut butter on the bag. Fell down to the ground. When Dale saw this, he quickly followed the boss's sign, got the syringe he was carrying and helped inject. Nick and Kurt, who were rummaging upstairs, saw this scene. They thought Dale was killing him. They didn't want to get involved in it and ran away. In a hurry, Kurt accidentally left his boss's phone at Nick's boss's house. At that time, boss wife came back. Her life was a bit disorderly, so Dale was mistaken by the boss for her lover. Dale ran away, catching up with his friends, who left first. After talking, Dale knew that that man he had just saved was Nick's boss. Nick was angry when he knew the truth. But at least they knew the weaknesses of their bosses. Just tried to get the peanut butter into his house. Then put it on his food. They would be killed easily. The next day, they bought rat poison and peanuts. They divided into 3 ways. Nick went to Kurt's boss, Dale went to Nick's boss. Kurt went to find out the weakness of Dale's boss. In the evening, Nick's boss heard the phone ring under the sofa. Picked up the phone and found that there was the personal information of Kurt's boss. This made him mistakenly think that this was his wife's lover, so he angrily came to the door. He killed Kurt's boss with one shot. Nick sat in the opposite car and witnessed. When the boss left, Nick drove away. For this reason, he was seriously speeding. After that, they met to discuss a perfect solution. Since Nick's boss killed Kurt's boss, so they just need to give the police clues anonymously. Then, Nick's boss would not be able to escape the law. For Dale's boss, Kurt had his own solution for her. She would not find Dale for a while. Unexpectedly, the police suddenly found Nick on the charge of illegal speeding and suspected escape from the crime scene. They were called to the police station, but they were guilty and dared not tell the truth. And after Kurt's boss was shot, Nick drove down the street from the scene. After that, he met Kurt. Because of that, Nick was obviously the biggest suspect, but the police didn't have any evidence, so it was impossible to detain them. Before leaving, the police warned him that they would not be free for long. The identification team was collecting DNA and fingerprints from Kurt's boss's house. Once the clues were found, the murderer would not escape the law. Kurt's face immediately became tense. When they sneaked into that house, no fingerprints left, thought sleeves were used instead of gloves. But Kurt wanted to get back to that house, because he deliberately used the toothbrush and razor to brush his boot. If the police found out the DNA on it, they were going to be treated like murderers. In order to protect themselves, they decided to take a tape recorder to see Nick's boss. Let him admit that he killed the Kurt's boss. When they were operating the plan, Kurt suddenly flirted with Nick's boss's wife. He hooked up with her, but Kurt was keeping the recorder. The other two didn't notice that Kurt was left behind. Still in accordance with the plan came to Nick's boss. When Nick's boss learned that the story had been revealed, he threatened to kill all three for attempting to blackmail him. He directly explained the killing process and found out the gun. They knew that the situation was not good, so they quickly left. Nick's boss came after him and kept hitting him. At that time, the navigation on the car was suddenly disabled. He said he had detected a serious collision and had informed the police, and shut down the engine. As soon as the car stopped, Nick's boss hit it. They were forced to get out of the car and accepted the danger. Nick's boss was going to tell the police that they killed Kurt's boss, and now trying to kill him too. Then he shot himself in the leg. He wiped off the fingerprint and threw it to Dale. When the police came, Nick's boss was lying on the ground. He pretended to be a victim. At that time, they suddenly remembered that they had brought a tape recorder. But when the police turned on the recorder, Nick's boss heard his wife's voice. Unfortunately, the recorder turned off after the crash, so there was no evidence of Nick's boss's confession. Just as the handcuffs were fastened, the navigation came out again. Automatic recording all conversations for quality assurance. Nick's boss just admitted his crime. They were overjoyed, and finally cleared the charge. In the end, Nick's boss was arrested and sentenced to 25 years. Nick is promoted to president of the company. Kurt also got rid of his new boss, recalled the dismissed employees and revived the company again. With the help of the black man and old classmate, they helped Dale secretly took pictures of the female boss's misbehavior towards customers. If the female boss had bad behavior again, those videos were going to be hot news. Moreover, the female boss had to face prison after being sued by the client. In the past, the three men who suffered from the boss's devastation finally saw the day ushered in spring. Strong cast, hilarious comedy. This is a good comedy film. Okay, that's all for this issue. Don't forget to like and subscribe my channel. Thank you for watching. See you next time.